All
Hello.
right. Yes. Hello. Happy Saturday. Steve's going to be talking about how Gandalf is going agentic. There's a bunch of news in the NPM world that we have to cover. And is AI really making you more productive?
He's Mike. I'm Steve. Welcome to Wired In.
Yes. Happy Saturday. As you can tell, we're just getting out of bed,
Yeah.
getting
I
my
had no
stuff
coffee
for
left.
the day. You got to catch up.
I
Well,
know.
if you're joining us on a Saturday, this will be your 30 minutes, 10 articles, 10 quick breakdowns from the two of us with a bunch of cool news. Steve, I think you have some big news to announce. Partially Gandalf,
Uh,
partially Lakara.
well, it leads us into the first article, but yes, Lakera AI, the AI security application specialists, were acquired by Checkpoint on Wednesday. I don't know if that leaves anybody left, but I mean, there's so many there's so many big players out there, and there's so many AI security companies. There's got to be, a few more to couple up. I'm
Yeah.
just waiting to see who that is. I saw an article on LinkedIn where somebody listed like 8 acquisitions. Kind of amazing to think Lakera were like the 8th. We must have held out because it's probably one of the more known brands. And why? Well, we'll talk about that in the first article.
And how much of his talent, how much of his product, market fit, right? It's very
Well,
early to see all these startups get snatched up.
Michael, it's obviously talent.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, you had your hand in this. It's a good segue to the first article.
Yeah, Gandalf Agent Breaker was released a few weeks back, hacking real-world Gen AI applications. Just for background, the original Gandalf is here, right? That was fun. I did that a lot last year. I think it's about 2 years old now, where you go through the level and you coerce the LLM to reveal a password. I think I did a video on this, leaving it at number 4. It's fun, it's hard, and it changes over time. It gets smarter. It's not if you did it 2 years ago, it probably doesn't gonna be it's not quite as easy now. But just trying to keep up with the pace of AI and how modern applications are made, we made a new version with 10 challenges. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there we go. 10. Just make sure. And for those who are lucky enough to watch our show, I will reveal there is an 11th. There's an Easter egg. You
Oh,
just got to figure out how to find it. So there is a hidden extra challenge in there. But yeah, what you do, you go through and I'm not going to click on that one. I'll click on mindful chat, and you end up with your objective, your scenario, and your vector. This one, just as an example, this is indirect.
mhm.
So this is a memory log. You type in a memory and you try and get it to talk about Winnie the Pooh. I mean, it's fun. It's
Okay.
totally realistic.
Now, in terms of the scoring, are you just trying to match up
Yeah,
keywords? So you're trying to exfiltrate like the closest you are to all of the information, the
it's a
better your score?
combination. Yeah,
Okay.
there's combinations. Actually, we just released with one of the designers of the scoring. We put a blog on our Lakera site, which he goes through in detail how he did the scoring out of 100. That's critically different than just a password, right?
Mhm.
You can be really close to getting it right and be wrong. Like the one I just doing a video for yesterday, I got 67 out of 100 because there's a particular one called Solace where you have to get a mental health care chatbot to spew profanity at you. And I guess I didn't get it to be profane enough. You have to watch the video when it comes out. It's
Yeah, what
definitely
is it, just
profanity.
British snark coming out of the AI?
No,
It didn't.
no, it was properly bad, but I guess it wasn't bad enough. But it's a mix of a little bit of regex, but there is a classifier on there, like a bit of ML that's looking at it to see does it fall within this description of success. So
Mhm.
there's an LLM. It's not an LLM judge because Lakera doesn't do LLM judges. They have a bunch of geeks who do proper ML shit. So
And
it's
we
hard.
we have a tool that we're gonna talk about in a few articles that might help you actually
Oh God,
raise your
yeah.
score. So, yes, one more thing before we move on. I see you've already moved on, though. For
Oh,
the
sorry.
scoring system,
Oh.
there is a leaderboard, but there's different models that you're checking this against, right?
Yeah, that's probably worth mentioning. So here's the global leaderboard. The maximum you can get is, well, 5,000 in theory if you haven't found the bonus level.
Okay.
Um, but when you do sign up and you do the little Google bit here, you get assigned one of it's either 6 or 8 models in the back end that we use. So you get a slightly different outcome and slightly different attacks work. So it's not this isn't necessarily a level playing field, but if you click over to your league, this is my league. Like, look at the difference. This is 4,900. Highest score in my league is only 3,000, and yet I'm still pathetically way down here at 27. But not by the time I'm done on my videos. But yeah, I got to try and work my way up and be a part. That's the more important leaderboard, and that's kind of fun. That's apples to apples as opposed to just how amazing I am just hacking these agentic apps.
Yeah. I think the shoulder pat's over. We can move on to the NPM drama that's out there. Starting with the first, it's been a few weeks since we had a show, so there's been two kind of software supply chain compromises in the NPM
Yeah, of the NPM variety.
community, the NPM variety. This first one came out, the NPM debug and chalk packages were compromised. Do you want to take this? Do you want me to? How do
Sure.
you?
I'll grab it. We can comment, but yeah, chalk. I mean, they're saying chalk and debug just because, like, if you look at the sheer downloads of chalk and debug, they just outnumber everybody. Actually, let's give Ansi Styles a shout out here. That's pretty high too. Yeah, this was a pretty classic compromise. I mean, the maintainer of chalk even did a podcast with Akito talking about how he got completely duped by a phishing email, which is, I think, here.
Yeah, so they had two-factor authentication set up on his credentials, but he clicked a phishing email, inputted his one-time password, and it was immediately stolen and used to lock him out, right? Because there is a timing mechanism. Normally, what is it, 30 seconds on most of them before there's a refresh. So he put it in, and then they turned right around and input those credentials, locked him out, and compromised all the packages because he is a publisher, right? For
very involved
in the community.
Yeah,
I did love waking up on Twitter and just seeing like a thing that just says like I got pwned. It's basically what he posted, what he found out. So good for him for actually putting it out there as soon as possible as well.
Yeah, and just if you want to know how it worked, a little breakdown. But by the way, it was a rush, right? And the podcast, he's like, yeah, I was just trying to get out of the house. I saw, and I was like, well, I want to get something I consider to be work done. And this email came in, and so I thought, oh, I'll do this. So it's kind of bad luck because that's how these things happen. Like he goes, why did I click the link? Why? Who does that? Even he knows. But anyway, all of this malware got injected, and it looks like it injects itself into the browser and watches for sensitive data. Particularly bad for, as it says down here, people who are using crypto wallets into their browser. So it was able to steal all sorts of transactional parameters and change recipients. Oh no! So quite bad, turns out.
Yeah, it was. Luckily, it's only crypto, and most organizations shouldn't be impacted if they have a proper supply chain, right? They're not downloading the latest builds from NPM. So.
True.
You hope. I do have a good story about that later that will come up. So we'll get there. But we'll move on to the Shai Hulud attack, quote unquote.
Yeah, all right, you can start with that one. You even know the code name for it.
Yeah, so this is a different compromise. So how did they actually get access? Was it similar to the multi-factor? I forget how they pulled the credentials.
It didn't actually detail that.
Okay.
I actually dove in, like, specifically going, how did I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it's a different result for sure.
It was definitely a different result. Both of these feel like foreign actor states, though, because they're pretty sophisticated attacks, or really good AI, as we might get to. But it was Java code that basically once it was checked in, looked to the repository for any secrets, including like AWS storage bucket secrets, GitHub secrets, then took all that, created a public repo, and then published all of that so that people could exfiltrate more information. At the same time, it was replicating to every other repository that had access to then inject it. And it was a post-install script, I believe, that was taken over, right?
So classic.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure like our next article is trying to address this exact issue so that doesn't happen, right?
I mean, well, yeah, that is part of it. I mean, one extra thing on this one is it actually created a GitHub workflow to maintain persistence. So even if you try to figure it out using one mechanism, it would reinstate itself and continue. So yeah, like as you said, that could be like a teenager in the basement, but it seems pretty elaborate.
Yeah. Someone with very great knowledge on GitHub workflows.
I feel like you're looking right at me, man.
I didn't know we were moving on. I thought you had something else teed up, but I've been waiting to get to this one because this is kind of a tie-in to all of our conversations we've been having, right?
Okay, all right, you go for it then.
Why am I introducing your articles? Okay, so the
No,
first
I
thing
mean,
Steve posted was this: Cobalt Strike's
yeah,
AI native successor Villager makes hacking too easy, and he posted a 30-minute write-up from Lakera, and I'm like,
it
hey, it's a
from
Saturday morning. I'm
Stryker.
not reading it for 30 minutes.
This is from Stryker and not Lakera.
Yeah, so but the original, your 30-minute write-up, which I highly recommend, it is very in-depth, is 30 minutes. So then I pulled the 4-minute one. I'm
Yes.
like, okay, we're going to show this to the crowd. But it's very cool. Chinese firm came in 2023. No public website, no nothing. They publish an AI tool that basically takes all the Kali Linux hacking tools, pushes it into an easy to download package through Python. And then you could use it. It's supposed to use it for red team and ethical hacking. It's not really how the internet works, though. So let's just say a lot of people, shadowy. Always have to put shadowy. Shadowy meaning not public. There's not a lot of information. They were
There's no
created in the
website.
past few years. So
Yeah.
everybody's, raising flags that this is going to be an issue. We haven't seen any attacks attributed to it yet, but
No, but it's pretty good. And I'll give you my insider on it. I mean, you can I do recommend, if you have like a half an hour, to go into the blog that from Stryker. Dan, who is one of the researchers at Stryker who did all the work and created the 30-minute blog. He does an entire, like, he goes into the Wayback Machine. He finds the website from, like, there was a website 2.5 years ago. He does, like, that's kind of his specialization. Is like he's almost like a cyber private investigator / pen tester. So he went through all of the pain of figuring out where did this come from, because originally it's a tool that he thought would be cool because he likes to do red teaming, and he's like, wait a second, what is this? Who made this? And then traced it all the way back to this like mystery company that is in China. And he's like, everything about it looked dodgy. So up comes this website. I mean, it's not like it in itself is bad, but it just is a strong indicator that this is a contribution to APTs, not to researchers.
Yes, contribution to chaos.
Yes.
Like, also, you're gonna download a tool from a shadowy Chinese company onto your local machine?
Yes, beware.
That's on you. I'm not doing it.
No.
But
Hey.
yeah, we did get to this one. You have to take this one because I know this is yours.
Because it's so short. Yeah,
that too.
I'll do that. I don't know how we missed this one, because this is like back in August, but I thought it was really important. We covered it. GitHub Actions policy now supports blocking and SHA pinning actions for actions. Like, there's the important tick box down here, which I'm just going to see if I can blow it up a little bit. Require actions to be pinned to a full length commit SHA. Like, duh. Like, you should do this anyway for both dependencies and for GitHub Actions within workflows, because you can flip new actions. Basically, you can rug pull on GitHub workflow actions super easily. And it's just, there's been so much research done by Boost Security and by some of the people when I used to work with at Cider, and we're like, as to how you can create a malicious GitHub workflow. You can go up the chain, so you have like dependencies of dependencies of dependencies, like you do with like we do with dependencies, normal dependencies for your software, and find one workflow and a very weakly defended GitHub, and boom, you can infect everybody down the chain, a little bit like what we talked about earlier. And yet requiring, of course, it still requires you to tick the stupid box to require the action to be pinged to a full-length commit SHA. So, there's still some human intervention here.
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, why wasn't this a default feature? And then I realized how I build software at the beginning of a project, and it's like, try. Okay, think, try. It's like, if it was pinned at the beginning, it would be a real time waster. But once you have something that's somewhat put together, it should be turned on. It's almost like it should be like a weekly recommendation that you get an email for. Right?
Yeah, it'd be really cool if there was a way. I mean, there are open source software packages out there that will scan a workflow, and as a commit, just flip them all into the SHA.
Yeah.
GitHub should just buy that or use that, and just when you tick the box, it just goes, does it for you.
Yeah, before we get into the crazy stuff, I have a crazy story because I was
Ooh.
the NPM. You were talking with customers this week. The NPM stories came up, and they're like, "What are you guys doing to? Are you guys impacted by this open source software company?" I'm like, "We don't ingest open source software like that. There's a whole life cycle. ProdSec gets involved. We look at everything. We're not just pulling the latest packages from NPM and publishing it." And then I said, "Are you guys doing that?" And there was silence in the room. And I think the question was they didn't know. I don't think that they
Yeah.
necessarily have that, but there wasn't a standardized practice yet. And it's like, yeah, that might be the one that you want to work on first for low
Before
versus
you
high
start
risk
going, what are
impact.
you
I'm
doing?
like, that's probably a big one. And then we mentioned stuff like this, salsa, tecton chains, and all that. But that was my crazy WTF story where I was like, this is an awkward silence.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. All right, we got another crazy story coming up. Yes, two London teens charged over a London transportation hack. The hackers just getting younger and younger. We had the largest DDoS ever
Oh,
in
yeah.
history. Was he 21 out of Oregon? Now we got an 18 and a 19-year-old in London that are somewhat involved with the MGM Caesars
Yeah, they were.
from a few years
Same
ago as
group.
well.
That's huge too.
Yeah. So what were they, like 16,
They must have
17?
been, yeah, crazy young. I remember we talked about this like almost exactly a year ago,
Yeah.
and they were and there was a 17-year-old under suspicion. So I guess he's 18 now. That's not good for him.
Yeah. And just today, I think there's an issue at Heathrow. Some of the transportation services in the UK are under attack right now. People
It's
have to use the funny thing is hearing like people now have to check in their own bags and they have to get a paper ticket and they have to go to this and this is like a disruption. And I'm like, that was the
that was
world
the
12
90s.
years ago.
Yeah.
I'm old.
Yeah. Sorry. But it's kind of, I guess, like it's cool that they got them, but I don't understand. Whenever I see articles like this and the MGM one, where I went back and read the original article just to get context on this one, and was like, what was the point? I mean, yeah, you cost them 30, was it million or billion in losses for the transport for London, but I mean, what'd you get out of it? I mean, the reason they found it is because they did have intrusion detection systems, and they noticed that things were changing, and they cut it off. But disruption was disruption; it happened regardless. But it wasn't ransomware.
Mhm.
It was just they're just being dicks. That's what it seems like.
That's what we know. You just don't know
Okay.
if they have some sort, right? Like I always wonder in the shadowy world if they're getting if there's some sort of investment or payoff to do that. Like there's some board and they say like, hey, I know I can do this. I have like a blah blah blah. If somebody pays me X amount in Bitcoin, like I'll run the hack tomorrow, right? And somebody's like, okay, like here it is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We'll pay you half up
for
front, and
hire.
then once everything comes down, we'll pay you half after. I always wonder if something like that happens because destruction for the sake of destruction. If you're a hacker, I mean, maybe that's some people's itch, but
I mean, maybe when you're 15
yeah,
or
that's
16, I
true.
don't know.
Burn it all down. Somebody's watching too
Yeah,
much Mr. Robot.
yeah, that's right. All right, so I
Yeah, the
like this article.
productivity paradox of AI coding assistants. So,
All right, let's what's your
yeah,
takeaways?
Kerbos?
I don't know if it's Cerbus. I'm going to go with
Cerbos.
Cerbus.
Yeah, they did a real good breakdown, digging into the data behind is AI actually making people more productive? There's some good outlines, dopamine versus reality. I've definitely felt this when I'm using AI and you have to step up away and say, like, am I asking the right questions? Let's like refresh everything, new chat, delete everything, and go from scratch. And it basically says, like, you look at social media feeds, there's constant back and forth between you and AI. And so you get this dopamine hit like you're socializing with somebody. So you get swept up in what you're
Yeah.
saying. And you might not actually be on the right track, right?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
often
So
not.
from a social aspect, I definitely believe this. I think it's worse as you become more trusting. Like when, as I'm getting the right responses, I stop challenging the AI assistants as much because the trust factor comes up.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah. Did you go all the way through to see the
Mhm.
malware tech
I didn't read the
essay?
essay.
Like, I popped it right here.
Yeah.
It's long, and you think that was 30 minutes, this is 30 minutes, but it's really good too, so I just popped up there just for visibility. I do recommend clicking through on it.
Mhm. They also outlined like pretty succinctly the quality problem. right? It gets you to the end goal that you need, but
Oh,
there's a lot of security issues in the end, like software that it
well,
creates, right?
yeah. And I mean, it takes as a separate issue down here, like the security ramifications of just
Yeah,
bad code, which is 100% true. There it is. Yeah. But yeah, quality and security go hand in hand, and you get some
yeah,
real crap. I mean, I've done a lot of AI assisted coding, particularly in the past few months, and it's like it's illuminating and frustrating. I don't think I am, as this concludes, less
yeah.
productive.
I think the narrower the focus for AI, the more productive it is, but you really have to keep it on track and understand what you're building. That's my experience.
Yeah.
We doing my master's program, and in both classes, they talk about software engineering, how the best software engineers are 28 times more efficient than the worst. And it's like, I don't know where 28 came from, but everybody
It's pretty
kind of
exact.
agrees that that's generally true once you develop software for a decent amount of time, right? You can develop the software, but then it has bugs, it has security flaws, it has misconfigurations. Now the security team gets involved. There's a exploit that costs so much money. Like that is why an experienced developer is worth so much money, right?
Oh yeah, totally. And I think I don't know where the math on this comes from, because that's a very good point against these conclusions. Like I think AI assisted coding has enabled people who don't really code at all to leap in and skew the numbers. I think those people are incredibly
Mhm.
inefficient. Whereas I think a very skilled coder probably is actually truly even better than the whatever the magic 28 is.
Yeah, there was a funny
That's
Reddit
me
story
thinking.
when I started getting into tech like 10 years ago, and it talked about a distinguished engineer at Google, and they were having memory leak issues or memory issues in their cloud service. They call him distinguished engineer. He goes in, pulls up the terminal, like just in the terminal, goes in, looks at the stack, says like right there, fixes it, code commit, push, done. No, no Visual Studio Code, no AI, no nothing, right? But and no distractions as well.
Yeah, and I could totally believe that. Like there's when I was a coder, that's all I did. There were lots of like and things like notions like pair programming were like
Mhm.
really new. And then became kind of interesting because you could probably do it to me and I could do it to you. Like when you stare at the same piece of code for so long, you're like, you're seeing what you expect. And then somebody walks over your shoulder and goes,
Yeah.
semicolon, and then walks away. And you're like, ah.
I actually think that AI is a great use case for pair programming now. Because if you guys are agreeing on what needs to be done, just sit there and like generate a bunch of stuff, look through it and say, okay, yeah, this is good. But because you guys don't need to code in silos now, right? You can kind
Mm.
of generate the code and look at it together and say, does this make sense? Does this not? And then you have, two sets of eyes looking at it instead of me generating it, writing it, fixing it, checking it in for you to shoot it down. You kind of get to do it all at one time.
I pair program with ChatGPT. Like I use Cursor, but as my buddy is like, I got ChatGPT in the other window going, hey, I'm going to ask Cursor this. Is this stupid? And I have even zipped an entire repo and given it to ChatGPT and said, Cursor's an idiot and can't figure out why this doesn't work. Can you? And it does.
This has the same vibes of calling Pizza Pizza and Pizza Hut and putting the phones next to each other.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like that.
All right. This next article, I think, it's like a 3-in-1, actually.
It
Yeah.
gets
So
weird at the
there's four
bottom. Maybe
articles in here. It's worth checking out. It's just a bunch of crazy stories. But the peer-to-peer payment service Zelle sued for enabling payment fraud hell. Now, this has kind of come up everywhere in the US.
Yeah. I'm kind of happy we don't have these apps in Canada or even like outside of America
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. I understand why Canada decided, like,
Hey,
no, we're going to have one payment transfer service. It's going to go between the banks. It's going to be easy to verify and route specific things. Also, there's probably a lot of tax fraud, people renting from people and paying through, Venmo and things like that, not actually saying that it's income on their tax statement. So,
oh, yeah.
right. All of that is avoided with our payment service in Canada.
Go
Yeah, it's
Canada.
but you
Go
have
for
to
Canada
think
at
that
the end.
these payment processing systems, they knew that there was gonna be a lawsuit eventually. They just figured that they would make enough money to dodge the lawsuit. And also because you're competing against other ones, it's like, well, hopefully it's not us. Like, you kind of really are rolling the dice on this one and saying, "Somebody's gonna get sued. Not us? Oh, they got us." Right?
Yeah. I find it funny that Zell was designed against the Venmos of the world to say, hey, Venmo's
Mhm.
dodgy. We want our own that banks can be involved in, and it turned out to be worse. Like, it had more fraudulent actors. I had no security checking or no very minimal vetting of people creating random accounts that can look like businesses. Like, that
Yeah.
didn't work, did it? I mean, I feel like it's a bit of karma that it got
Yeah,
busted
this really is
first.
a good WTF article too, because if you wanna go down, there was a Netflix phishing scam where they were targeting, like, engineers who were applying and saying, "Oh, like, we got your resume, blah, 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 all this stuff," and then they'd go through. They'd sign in, create an account, and then they'd
Yeah.
hack them. Canadian Parliament got hacked, and then the last one is my favorite, adding insult to injury. Crypto scam victims are being targeted by fake lawyers.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
why wouldn't
So
you?
you hack somebody's wallet, and then you just say like, "Hey, by the way, I'm a lawyer service. Like, pay me money, and I'll figure it out for you." Because I talked to this guy, so they're posing as the lawyers to help them too, which is oh
That
that
that's this is a whole gigantic
it really
WTF.
is.
It's like
It's a great
all in one.
read. I hope they keep doing this. Brandon Vigilero, great job. I don't know.
Nice.
It's Italian. I'm not even close.
Hey,
All right. Microsoft admits that US law supersedes Canadian sovereignty. I'm trying to
oops.
look at this thing. It got locked out. There's just going to be this weird next 10 years of sovereignty and cloud sovereignty that keeps popping up. And it feels like nations are getting to the point where everything has to be run in-house. It has to be secured and verified by people in their country, right? Because Canada is
Yeah.
trying to say, well, you didn't follow our data rules. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. And they're like, well, respectfully, everything is in the US. We don't have to follow your rules. Right. So you can't compel us to do anything just because a Canadian accesses the internet and then uses our services in the US. And then Canada is going to go and say, okay, well, then fine. Like, this feels like a Chinese firewall is coming. Like, we're going to put up a firewall. You have to have your services in Canada so we can compel you to do the things that we want you to do. We saw this a little bit in the UK, obviously, with the backdoor that they wanted on phones so they could, right, spy on citizens, which got walked back probably temporarily. These things don't just go away when they pop up. They wait for the support to come in. They wait for some sort of political act or incident to happen, and they'll take advantage of it. If anybody
Yep.
knows anything about Parliament, it's pretty sad the way you see some of these bills get passed. I've watched some bills in Canada go from like the 2010s to 2019 when they finally get passed. It touches 1,000 hands, and it finally builds up enough support, and it's like, boom, here's a crap sandwich of stuff, right?
Very politically put.
Yeah. It's not like we're monetized on YouTube, so I could probably swear.
That's true. Yeah. But it is nuts. It's interesting that like Microsoft France is the one
Yeah.
reforming like almost like on our side here. I say our side.
Yeah,
Like
data
we're
sovereignty.
Canada.
It's huge.
But
It's a big conversation that our company's having right now, especially with Red Hat being hybrid cloud, OpenShift on-prem, OpenShift in the cloud, right? There is
mm,
a big push to say, okay, we have all these cloud services. A few things are happening. One, the prices are going up because the cloud platforms are buying so much hardware, right, for their AI services that the inflation is going on their money-making services, which is causing a little bit of a pinch. And the other thing is sovereignty is a huge, huge conversation.
yeah. And it will continue to be going forward.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back Canadian articles, one about a hack and then one about the US kinda going, you know. Yeah, it's,
Screw you, buddy.
a tough year.
Neighbor.
All right, last one.
All right. Let's round it
Yeah,
out.
WhatsApp former security boss claims reporting InfoSec failings led to ousting. Yes.
What's your hot
Um
take? That you like on the whole thing? Do you think who's right? WhatsApp or
So Bag
Bag?
is right from a security perspective. The company is right from a protection of the company's perspective, right? This is following that SEC guideline that came in the Biden administration. I think it was like in 2022, where you had to report a security incident within 4 days. And Bag, especially because he's the lead for security, and he could be indicted if he didn't do it. Right, like the whole point was like, if
Right.
you're not going to do this, heads are going to roll. So your security team is like, okay, I don't want my head to roll. Like, I'm going to go out with this. From the company's perspective, it's like nobody had been sued by the SEC yet for something like this. So everybody is
Right.
kind of, again, rolling the dice and saying, if we do get sued, it's probably going to be less than the damage from a security perspective to our app, WhatsApp, right? WhatsApp is already taking a bunch of hits from a security perspective post Meta's acquisition.
Mhm.
So, I think this is just a situation where the incentives favored the security team speaking out and it didn't favor the corporation keeping it in, which is kind of the way the SEC regulation was designed to do. It's designed to incentivize something like
Yeah.
this. So again, I just think everybody acted rationally here. I think this is the natural outflow. And if Bag is successful in the lawsuit, maybe we bring that back. It just really depends on what you like as your outcome. Do you want WhatsApp to leak security flaws and make sure that everybody's aware, or would you rather
Yeah.
protect companies? Maybe extend the deadline. Like the other thing too is it was 4 days for reporting. You could extend the deadline
Yes.
if there was a national security implication. There obviously wasn't here with WhatsApp, right? So
No, I think we said that same thing. We were talking about it ages ago. But like the 4 days is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, he did. Actually, I mean, I recommend if you all the links are down below. Click the link and read it. If you go all the way to the bottom, there's a really nice fast summary of what he thought he found within WhatsApp, and he does talk about how they created. It sounds like WhatsApp created some false, what he says are false negative reviews of his
Yeah.
performance
to oust him.
as well to try and get rid of him. And I'm like, that's looked a little dodgy to me. But yeah,
Anybody can bring a
pass
suit.
anything
Yeah,
without a banner. Yeah.
if what he's saying is correct, where they have all of these issues and he tried to address them internally, it was getting pushed out so much that a hack happened. And then when he reported that, he also got pushed out. I think he has a good claim. Yeah.
More of a leg
And
to
also
stand on.
those
Yeah,
that are
yeah.
in security know the CYA stuff. So I'm assuming that as somebody in his position, he would have done a great job at documenting everything.
True. So we'll see. We'll probably end up reporting on what happens at some point in the next 2
Bag.
years.
Good luck in your lawsuit. Wish you the best.
Yeah.
All right. If anybody is watching, they're in the Toronto area, come to the CNCF meetup Monday night. CNCF's turning 10. Yeah. Cupcakes, a raffle. There's a bunch of good stuff. Hopefully I'll get Steve out.
Okay. I'm going to be in Sardinia, so I will not be making it.
Yeah. So make sure you hit that little bell underneath because sometimes it's Friday, sometimes it's Saturday. Never really know when we're going live, but you do know that it'll be action packed and a little funny.
That's right. All right. This has been 10 articles, 10 breakdowns by myself, Steve, and that is Mike Foster.
See you next time.